Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. Hope everybody had a wonderful week. And the weekend's coming up sooner than you think. Today's Friday, and the weekend is less than a day away. So, enjoy and have a great weekend. And I certainly hope everybody had a wonderful Halloween, too. Anyway, I'd like to speak to all you guys about the future of this channel and what the hell is going on. Basically, what we've been going on, what we've been doing lately, we haven't really been generating the kind of things I was looking for. It hasn't really been going right for me. Actually, nothing's been going right for me ever since I started it. So, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I've been playing this game for a long time. So long that I should be better than I am. But I'm not, because I don't spend my entire life playing it. I play it for fun, casually here and there. Because of that, I'm not really good at it. So, then there's that. But the name of the game is not to beat people, it's to have fun. And for 13 years, I've done nothing but have fun. And I'll continue having fun, because that's what it's all about. Along the road, I picked up tanks, as you can see. I picked up tanks along the road. Tanks I felt were odd. Period accurate. Well, somewhat, except for the paint job. That's retarded. But anyway, period accurate, I should say. I've had a lot. I've been playing this game for a very long time. Now, when I started out playing this game, I had that. That tiny little thing I had for God knows how long. I tried to learn how to play the game. When the game first started for me, they didn't have boot camp, they didn't have training camp, they didn't have none of that shit. All they gave you was first they gave you the choice of what country you wanted to be. Then they gave you a tank from that country, and they said, "Here's the controls, go at it." That's it. When I first started, that's what you did. Now they have this whole boot camp training shit and stuff like that. I don't understand what that is. All I know is my first day when I had this game, they gave me this tank and they said, kill people. Okay, so then you push battle and you go nuts. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing, but we just kill people and that was it. Granted, the tank was not big, but you knew down the road it would get bigger. Oh boy, did I not realize how big it would get. Jesus, Lord in heaven. 13 years later, I got that monster. That's insane. I got that, 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 that. 13 years later, I grinded as much as I could to get those. It's insane. 13 years, and that's all I have to show for it. Is maybe 6 tanks. 6 tier 10s, and that's all I have to show for it. And the reason why is because instead of concentrating on only one country, let me show you something. I couldn't decide. When I first started, I picked this country. After I reached here, I decided, you know what? I want to try something different. Instead of continuing on like everybody else did, I switched. I moved over to the United States. And I did my best working on that. I got up to tier maybe 5. Got everything unlocked in tier 5 and said, you know what? Not working for me. Moving on. So then I went over to Germany. And of course, I got up to tier 5, and I said, you know what? And the UK at the time, I was about 7 years, 8 years now. After 7 or 8 years, the UK was a brand new country at the time. I decided, you know what? Let me give this a shot. Well, I had a lot more fun with this one. I got up to the Black Prince, and I didn't want to continue after that. But I did like having the Black Prince, so I kept it. I basically sold all the rest of them, but kept only the ones I liked. So I still have a couple of ones from Britain, just because I like those tanks. I also have a couple of premiums from them too. So eventually I got bored and said, you know what? I'm moving on to France. So again, I grinded everything. I grinded everything up to tier 5. As usual, up to tier 5, always. Then I said, you know what? I'm done. Let's move on to the next country. Now this one, I have to say this one, I didn't enjoy. I didn't like these tanks at all. But I did get one tier higher than all the rest of them. I got the tier 6. Why? I don't know. I guess to me this was starting to get good. But once I reached this, I went, I have a funny feeling these are not going to be fun. So I put this on the back burner, kept this, and moved on. It gets better. Trust me. Moving on. We're up to Japan. Now, Japan started to get complicated like the other countries. I went up to tier 4. And moving up to tier 5, as per usual, I decided to take a look at all of them. And I said, you know what? I didn't like the way this was going. I didn't like the idea of a tank destroyer sort of like starting out. To be honest with you guys, I didn't really like a Japanese tank destroyer. Call me weird. I just didn't like a Japanese tank destroyer. I didn't like it. I didn't like its characteristics. I didn't like the gun. I just didn't like it. So I didn't go up to tier 5. What I did go up to tier 5 was this. It was fun. I have to admit, this tank was a lot of fun. I still have it. Tank's a lot of fun. I enjoy playing with it. Okay, that one needs to be set up. Apparently, I must have only played a couple of battles with it because I didn't even set this tank up yet. I only must have played a handful of battles with this because it's not even set up. So, I guess I must have gotten up to tier 4, got to tier 5, looked at it and went, no. Which for me, that's common. That's very common for me. So, as per usual, what did I do? I moved right on to the next country. Trust me, don't stop there. I started out at tier 1, moved over to tier 3 and realized, it branches. Okay, so what are we doing now? Tank destroyers. This could get interesting. Okay. This one, I found this to be very interesting. Very interesting tank. So interesting I put Santa Claus in there. Why I made Santa Claus Chinese is beyond my understanding. But I felt the need to put Santa Claus in a Chinese tank. Why? I have no clue. I just decided that was the right thing to do. Yes, I have no brain, but that's beside the point. Okay, moving on. I did a little bit better and had a little bit more fun with the tier 6s on the medium tiers. I played the light tank and the Type 58 in tier 6. And I have the Type 59 premium already. So I figured the Type 58 might be fun. Well, the Type 58 was a cheap knockoff of the Russian T-34. The Russian T-34 played exactly like the Type 58, except worse. So I figured, if they're just going to have cheap knockoffs of other tanks, why should I continue playing? When I got to Type 59, I went, now we're talking. The Type 59 is an amazing tank. Absolutely amazing. Words cannot describe how amazing the Type 59 is. It's so amazing that the tank got itself banned. For a handful of years, yes. But it got itself banned. Now, It used to be available as a premium tank down here. As you can see, it's no longer available. They no longer sell that. They no longer sell the Type 59. But that didn't stop me from getting one. The day it first came out was the day I had it. Come on. There you go. I had this tank on day 1. Except the one thing is I put a 3D skin over it so that people wouldn't know that this is an original version. This is an original Type 59. This is not a remake. This is not anything other. This is not anything special. This is the original Type 59. Original. When there was rumors that they were going to take the tanks away from people, I stopped playing for a couple of years. Until the newness died, until all the newness of this tank started to die down. I stopped playing it for a very long time. Until I got wind that they were going to create something called Type 59G. When that tank came out, I brought this tank out of storage. And I brought it right back out of storage, and that was it. Except it didn't have this. It was just a normal Type 59. As soon as the 3D skin was available, I grabbed it. I didn't want anyone to know that this was an original tank. So my guess was that this was probably meant for the Type 59G. That's my guess. So this was, or still is, this was the banned tank for many, many years. It has the same stats. It acts exactly the same as the tank used to. None of the stats have changed. This is the exact same Type 59 when it first came out. Nothing changed. I just don't use it a lot. Out of respect, I gave it the best crew member you could think of. I gave it Chuck Norris. Of course, because it had to. Because it's Chuck Norris, for Christ's sake, at least. I gave this tank the respect it deserved. I gave it a good commander. And of course, I got a pretty decent crew. So, even though I don't play this tank an awful lot, I decided to give it the respect it deserved and give it a good crew. So I spent a good amount of years playing this tank, not spectacular with multiple kills, average, you know. I started playing the tank for fun. My goal was not to attract attention to it. My goal was to have fun. My goal was to get that crew to the level this tank is. This tank has been around for a very long time, and I've been playing it for a very long time. So, but my crew I had this tank was brand new. So, I had work to do. So what I did was, I used this. I use these things. Activate these things. What you do is, you come in personal reserves, activate this, and for 1 hour, you have to grind this tank like crazy. Or game over after game after game. Grind that tank, and it will take all the XP for that tank and bring it right to the crew. What you do is accelerate crew training. Select this. All the experience that this, if you do that, all the experience that this tank gets from here on then will go to the crew only, not the tank. The tank will receive no experience. Why? The only reason why you want a premium tank to receive experience is if you want to convert that free experience, that experience on that tank, to free experience. Now all of these are premium tanks and they all have experience on them. See? Now I could very easily spend 12,000 gold and get 319,000 experience points right now. Why? Because I play my premium tanks more than I do my regular tanks. What I do is, my strategy with this game is I enjoy taking all my elite tanks and my premium tanks and grind them till the wheels fall off, then take the experience from them, convert it over to free experience so you can use that on any tank. So if you hate playing a tank, you have to grind, and you want to grind to the next one, don't even play that tank. Grind all your premium tanks. Okay, guys? Grind every premium tank you have. Grind it till the wheels fall off. Grind that tank until it has enough experience so you can get the new tank, right? Then click this and see how much gold you need in order to get that experience off that tank. When it shows you how much gold you need, you then buy that much gold, push exchange. You didn't even have to play the tank. One game. Never had to play the tank one game. All you did was play your premium tanks, which gain more experience. As premium tanks gain more experience and more crew experience. So what you can do is take the crew that's from that premium tank, send them to the depot, put a brand new crew in there, put them in the premium tank, grind that premium tank until you have enough experience to unlock the new tank, then convert all that free experience, all that experience over to free experience using gold. Okay? And by doing that, you'll have free experience right here. Now, the crew that's on that premium tank, I'll show you what to do with that crew. From here, you have crew members here, right? Now let's say you want to put crew members on the new tank. Okay. So let's say you want to exchange a commander. Let's say you want to exchange this guy. Replace the loader. See that? So let's say you want these guys off this tank. You want them on the tank you want them on. So replace the loader. and select a crew member that you want to go in its place. When you do that, they'll take their place. I can't show you here because this country doesn't really have a whole hell of a lot. I can show you in Soviet Union because I have a lot of crew members and a lot of tanks and I have a lot of everything. So I will attempt to demonstrate, of course. So let me see what I can do. My God, that's a little tiny tank. Okay. I didn't realize I had tanks that small. Okay, moving on. Let me see. My God, that's a light? That is an ugly tank. Jesus, that thing is ugly. Let's say you wanted to replace the crew members here, right? Now here's all the people you can replace them with. Now let me explain. Can you see this red tint right here? That red tint means something. If you see that red tint in that corner, that means you can use that person. But that means you have to completely, in order to put them in that tank, you have to completely retrain them from scratch. You cannot just simply place them in that tank. That's a problem. See, now back in the old days, you used to be able to pull crew members off of premium tanks with no penalties. Now, let me explain something. Back in the old days, you used to be able to pull crew members off of premium tanks with no penalties, which means you didn't have to train them. You didn't have to retrain them from scratch. Unfortunately, you kind of have to. Because see? She's not trained for the vehicle. She has no perks, 0 perks. So she has to be completely retrained from scratch. That really sucks. That really does suck. I mean, what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do about it. So what you have to do is you have to look. So then you messed up. Okay, let's find the original crew member. Okay. Now, these are all the crew members that are in the vehicles. These are new recruits. These show all the crew members. This only shows crew members that are in the barracks. Now, you are looking for a crew member that does not have a name on it, and you're looking for a crew member that is not red in this corner. Anybody that's not red is trained for that vehicle. All you have to do is scroll down and look for a crew member that has a black bottom left hand corner. If you can do that, you can find them, then just put them right in. Unfortunately for me, I have an awful lot of crew members. My barracks has been upgraded 5 times. So, over the years. So I have a lot of crew members. Even after the crew 2.0, I have a lot of crew members. After the crew 2.0, they got rid of a lot of crew members I had in my barracks. Okay, where is this guy? There it is. See this guy right here? See that's red? Look at that color. See that? That's not red. Okay, now the crew member that we took off, the tank she came from was called the Churchill 3. So now we have to go back into the Churchill 3. We have to go out of here. The Churchill 3 is a premium vehicle. So you have to look for the Churchill 3. And now we have to go through. There you go. And now our commander is back where she belongs. That's it. And again, no red, no symbol here. This crew member is in its right place. That crew member is in the right place. Remember, if you see on the corner of their screen, on the bottom left hand corner of their screen, if you see red here or pink, that means that crew member is not trained for that vehicle. When you click specialization, when you hover and you see specialization, the specialization has to match the tank they're in. Which means the crew member has to be fully trained for that vehicle. If they're not going to know what they're doing. And therefore, they're going to make things worse inside the tank. So, what can you do about it? Well, there's a bunch of things you can do about it. First off, if you have a crew member that is sort of like, well, lacking, there is something you can do to fix it. Let's pick a lower tier tank to show you guys. Okay, let's pick a tank that's a little smaller. Okay, now I can show you guys here. Okay, we have a commander here. Okay, we have a gunner. Now, the commander should always be better than the rest of them. Let's say you wanted this commander in this tank to be better than he is. How do you do that? Well, first off, you can grind that tank, and that will make the entire crew grind together. But let's say you wanted the commander to be more trained than the rest of them. You could do that. But you also have a problem. As per Crew 2.0, they had a new rule. If you ever have a skill like concealment or brothers in arms or repairs, every single crew member has to be at 100% in order for that perk to even kick in. Which means when these are at 100%, you don't get concealment at all. This has to be at one. This guy has to have one, and it has to be at 100% as well. So this tank has a serious problem. This tank, yes, firefighting is extremely important, but he also needs camouflage, which means you have to accelerate his training as soon as possible. So click accelerate training. Now you have a choice. Over time, you will accrue something called a mentoring license. A mentoring license is a very interesting thing. A mentoring license, you have to select a crew member you want to transfer the XP to the crew member that's on the screen here. After you do that, that crew member is removed from the game. They're gone forever. So if you have extra people down here you're not using, for example, this guy, actually no, these guys are in tanks. Okay. All my guys are in tanks. So I don't really have extras, but if you have extras hanging around your depot, you can simply select, see the XP go up. If you select this guy, that's how much he'll go up. Look up. See that? If you select this guy, that's how much he'll go up. Now if you select, for the hell of it, for shits and giggles, let's just say you selected her. That's how much he'll go up. See? It all depends on how much XP that character has in there. Now when you select this character disappears from the game altogether. Gone. The history. So the only people you should be doing this to are people that you don't need or don't want. People that you have spares of. You don't want to buy more bunks. In other words, if you don't want to, back in the old days, you had to simply buy more bunks and give the crew members a place to stay. Now, you don't buy more bunks. Now you get mentoring licenses and you transfer the XP and release those crew members from duty. Now that's what you do. Back in the old days, you had to buy more bunks. Now you don't do that. So things are a little different now than they used to be in the old days. So that's what the mentoring license does. Okay, guys? It's not important, but it's good to know this. So you can either boost those people up with a mentoring license, or you can use manuals like universal booklets, universal manuals. You have universal training manuals, which only does one crew member. Universal guides, which does one crew member, or which does the whole crew for any country. Now these are only for USSR. Only for USSR. That's it. These are universal guides. These are made for a specific country, and that's it. This one uses the free experience that you have spare, which is this. It allows you to use this to make him get better. If you don't have any of these at all, you have nothing here. You can spend the free experience you have right there, convert that to that crew member, and that's how much you'll get. So you have options on how to boost that crew member without grinding the entire tank. Again, this is one reason why you always try to have spare gold. And this is the only reason why you have spare gold, is so you can convert experience on the premium tanks to free experience, and then convert this free experience to either tanks or crew members. Now, free experience can be used for either tanks or crew members, either one. They don't have to be used for only one thing. Free experience can be used for crew members or tanks or both. Either way, this guy needs this skill done. And we need to get this skill on him as soon as we can. Now, can we do that? Well, this is to the whole crew. This doesn't help us any. I'll tell you what it does do. It does unlock something. Now, at the very least, it unlocks that by using this one, it'll unlock that square, allowing us to choose camouflage. Now, all we have to do is get that camouflage up to 100%. If we do choose this, that camouflage will be at 68%. So it'll pretty much be at the same. So if we do select that, we don't really have to spend our entire life grinding that tank just to get it camouflage. That will save us a lot of time. If I did use that universal manual, that would save me a buttload of time in grinding that tank. You kind of understand so far? It's hard for me to explain this late, but your life in this game is spent grinding tanks to try and get them where you want them to go. You shouldn't have to grind to get crew members built up. If you have these booklets and you have a really good tank with a shitty crew, what good is the tank if the crew sucks? Now, this tank is not a good tank. So this is not a huge priority. Now I'll show you what is. Anything from tier 8, tier 9, and tier 10. That is your priority. Anything in those 3 tiers, you have to have good crew members, and the skills have to be meshed. Otherwise, you're screwed. Big time. For example, show you guys an example. Let me show you guys an example. Let me show you guys an example. Tier 8. Here we go. Tier 8 heavy. Object 705. This one has quite a bit of skills, I should say. Now the commander has more skills. Why? Why? Because he has mentor, which does him nothing. Mentor helps the other crew members. So you have mentor, and mentor is at 100%. That will instantly help all the other crew members to gain more experience. So therefore, whoever has mentor has to have one perk more than everybody else. Don't forget that. If you ever decide to put mentor on a crew member, on the commander, instantly dump whatever extra spare experience you have on that crew member, because you need an extra skill on that commander, because mentor does nothing for you. Nothing for that commander. It only helps your crew members. So your other crew members will flourish now because the commander is helping them. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 on him. Now because we have mentor, we have and because I boosted his skills, he has 4 skills on him. All the other crew members, this one has almost 4 skills. Almost. This one has 5 skills. I mean, mentor is absolutely boosting these guys big time. That's what mentor does. Mentor boosts your skills. Your skills don't really boost that much. They do if the commander has mentor. Mentor is a very important skill. The amount of XP that's earned is increased by 20% for all crew members. The commander can replace a knocked out crew member with 65% effectiveness. So even though the other crew members are gaining more XP, the mentor skill allows the commander to replace any knocked out crew members with 65% effectiveness. So the commander is trained in every single, if you have mentor, the commander is then trained in every single position in that tank with 65% effectiveness. That's better than nothing. So let's say you hear the driver's knocked out. The driver's knocked out. Fine. If your commander has mentor, the commander will instantly jump on the driver and he will do the driver's job with 65% effectiveness. So you can either leave it there and leave it as is, or you could heal that driver. The tank will not operate any worse. Why? Because your commander is trained for that position for 65% effectiveness, which is not good, but not really that bad. Plus, the commander is still doing his job. he still has all of his skills. So not only is he doing his job, he's doing the driver's job as well. That's Mentor. Mentor has the ability to take the driver's place and do his job exactly like him with 65% effectiveness. It's impressive. It truly is impressive. It really is. Now, the reason why it says premium vehicles is that this, for some reason, I don't know why, but back in the old days, you used to have crew members trained in premium vehicles, and you transferred them to the tier tanks with no penalties. Okay? Now, what they seem to have done was, in Crew 2.0, they allowed tier tanks to be transferred to premium vehicles with no penalties. Which means that I can transfer this crew member to a premium vehicle to train him up better so that he can gain more experience quicker. For example, if I wanted this loader to finish this skill, I would immediately transfer him to a premium vehicle. And I would trade him for a different loader. If I had a spare loader, of course. I don't think I do. To be honest with you, I don't think I actually do. Nope, I don't. Now, you're not going to train them for this tank. You're not going to. What you are going to do is you're going to make sure that this crew member goes into a premium tank, and that premium tank has to be grinded like crazy. Make sure that crew member gets to the level you want it at. Then what you do is you transfer the crew member back to this tank. Then you have to pay. Then you don't have to pay because he's already trained for it. But remember, when you go into the premium tank, you do not retrain. Just leave him trained for that same tank. Just place him in a premium vehicle. Why? Because it says premium vehicles right here. You can transfer this crew member to a premium vehicle and not have any penalties at all. Get him to where you want him, transfer him back to this tank, and you'll be fine. If you have a crew member that you started training in a premium vehicle, you're in trouble. Because that means you have to retrain that entire crew member from scratch. You have to retrain the entire crew member using gold. And that sucks. That really does suck. Or retrain him for free, and you have to grind him all the way up to 100 in order for any of those perks to kick in. It's retarded. So if you're going to do that, always have your tier tanks with crew members. Have your premium tank standing by. Let's say you have a brand new let's say for argument's sake, we have this tier 9. This crew sucks balls. Okay, we're going to say this crew sucks, right? So we want this crew to be better. How do we do that? Very easy. This is a heavy tank, okay, with 4 crew members. We're going to look at our premium tanks, see which out of the heavy tanks that are premium, which one of these heavy tanks has 4 crew members. Okay. Now this one has an incomplete crew. Okay, this one has 5. So what we do is, this one has 2 loaders. So what we're going to do is transfer the crew out of that tank and put it in this tank. Then play this tank until the wheels fall off, until that crew member is at the level you want it to be. Then put the crew back into this tank and you're good to go. No retraining needed. All you have to do is remove, replace, grind, bam. When you do that, make sure accelerated crew training is on, because you do not want the tank to get experience, you want the crew to get experience. So the purpose of accelerated crew training is that you're allowing the tank to never get XP. You're using that one premium tank for one purpose and one purpose only: to gain experience for the crew members you intend on training. You can either have that crew member have no crew in it and just keep dumping crew in it, or you could put a crew in it and remove them and put a new crew in. Grind that crew until they're done. Grind that tank until they're done. Then retransfer that crew without paying to retrain. Retransfer that crew back to the other tank, already trained for that tank, and you're good to go. But if you have a standard crew in the premium tank that were first trained by that crew, well, to be honest with you, you're in big trouble. Because once a crew is trained for a premium tank, you cannot send them to a regular tank unless you retrain them. You just can't. See, this crew member can be transferred to all premium heavy tanks without penalty. It doesn't say can be transferred to any heavy tank. This crew member can only be trained to premium tanks without penalty. Now, if you have a crew member in your tier tank, that is different. If you're a crew member in your tier tank, it will say this: this crew member can be transferred to all premium medium tanks, USSR, without penalties. So you won't get any penalties at all if you transfer a crew, this crew for this. This is a premium tank. Okay, this. Sorry, my brain's not working tonight. My apologies, my brain's not working. I don't have, oh my god. Where's my brain? I really shouldn't be doing this if my brain's not working that right. It's fine. Come on, where are you? There you go. That's a premium tank, never mind. God damn, what is going on with this shit? This is not a premium tank. Okay, very good. Now let's check these guys. Now, when I first trained him, he went right into this tank. He's been in this tank. He never entered a premium tank. So he says this crew member can be transferred to all premium tank destroyers without penalties. Why can it be transferred to all premium tank destroyers without penalties? Why? Because you can transfer him to premium tank destroyers without penalties, so you can grind that crew member so that they can catch up with all the rest of them. That's why. You remove the crew out of the... you take the crew out of the premium tank and replace them with this crew. Nobody gets retrained. Just leave everybody as they are. Insert them, throw them in battles. Their XP will go up. When they get to where you want them to be, then you transfer them back. Do not pay, do not retrain them. There's no penalties at all. As long as you follow the rules, make sure you read. Read the crew member. Hover your mouse over this and read it very carefully with this crew, okay? It all depends on whether you're, it all depends on whether you're, it all depends on whether your crew members are trained in your standard tanks, or whether your crew members are trained in your premium tanks. It makes, either way, it makes a very big difference. Because you train a crew in a premium tank and they're ungodly and you have 0 gold and you want to train them, you want to put them right into a tier tank, you can't. You have to, they have to enter a tier tank first. Once they're trained for a tier tank, then transfer them to the corresponding premium tank of the same size. Train that crew member till he's done. Then send him right back to the old tank when he's done. No retraining needed. Let's say you had 2 premium tanks and you wanted to train and you wanted to transfer crew members from one premium tank to another. No problem. You don't need to retrain. No need to retrain for different tanks. Why? Because they're premium. Premium tanks do not need retraining. Why? I don't know. It's always been like that since day one. It still is. Thank God. That is the beautiful part about having a premium tank. A premium tank, the reason why you play a premium tank, the reason why you own a premium tank is to gather XP in the tank and train the crew. When the crew is trained at a certain level, then you could transfer that crew to a tier tank without having a new crew, without having to retrain a new crew from scratch. For example, let's say we had a heavy tank and let's say we unlocked a new heavy tree, right? Now we had to retrain a new crew from scratch for this tank. Let's say we didn't want to do that. Simply go into your premium tanks, go into your heavy premium tanks and look for a fully trained crew. Simply transfer that crew, transfer that premium crew that was trained for premium tanks to the tier tanks, pay the gold to have them fully trained for that tank. That is worth paying gold for. Because if you have a tank with a crew that's not properly trained, that tank is not going to run the way it should. The crew is not going to know properly how to operate the tank. When your crew looks like this, they're pretty much green. Right? They're right out of basic training. When your tank crew looks like this, they're right out of basic training. They have no skills at all. All they know how to do is operate the tank. That's it. Nothing special. So, when you see a crew look like this in a tier tank, not premium, in a tier, you have a problem. You need to get this crew better. How do you do that? Transfer that crew to a premium tank. Then grind the hell out of that premium tank. After that crew is exactly the way you want them to be, transfer them back to that tier tank. And then use gold to transfer all that free experience from that premium tank onto that tier tank. The crew is trained and the tank is trained. You didn't have to play that tier tank one game. All you did was play the premium tanks for fun. That's all you did. And spent gold to transfer the crew experience and the free experience and got both up a little bit. You didn't have to spend 4 years to boost everything up. That's a little trick I learned a long time ago. That's something you can do. That's a little trick you can do if a tank poses to be an issue. Here and there, sometimes you will run into tanks that are a major pain in the ass, that are not premium. There are tanks that are regular that you just don't like flat out. But you have to grind it. You feel that you have to. For example, This tank. I don't like this tank. This is a regular tank. I hate this one. I like this one. They're both tank destroyers. So you're probably saying to me, well, Mike, why don't you just grind this one? Deal with this. The fact of the matter is, I want the entire country done. So I have to play this tank. No, I don't. I have to grind my premium tanks. And if and when I ever do, I transfer all the experience from that tank to this one. Crew and tank experience both. Transfer them both to this tank. Without playing one game. So if you hate a tank more than life itself, you don't have to even play it one game. All you need is a really good premium tank you love more than anything else. You enjoy playing more than anything else. And it has to be the same type of tank. So I need a premium tank destroyer. Premium tank destroyer. So let's see. Premium tank destroyer. Premium tank destroyer. Tier 8. Different tier. Six crew members. This could work. Okay, so all I have to do is, to get that tank better, grind this tank constantly. Then transfer all the experience from these guys and this tank to that tier tank, and I don't have to play that tier tank one game. Not one game. I don't even have to play it ever. All I have to do is just play this tank, transfer all the experience from this tank to that tank. Done. That's a trick I learned a very long time ago. It costs a lot of gold to do that. But in the end, if you can't stand playing this tank, to you it might be worth it. To somebody else, you might say, oh, I'm not spending gold. Don't. Just simply grind. If you don't have any premium tanks and you're not spending gold, fine. Don't. Grind your tier tanks. Do your best and grind your tier tanks. That's all you have to do. Just simply grind the tier tanks. Simply do your best. Granted, I don't like this tank. I could grind it if I really want to. In fact, I'm going to play this one round just to show you guys that, yes, I do actually play this tank. Although I do play my premiums a lot, and when I do have gold, I transfer it to that tank. When I don't have a lot of gold, I will grind it like I am now. So, you don't have to spend 4 years grinding one tank. You actually hate one like yourself. All you have to do is just grind the premium and transfer the experience over. But that's not easy. That costs gold, and gold costs real money. So, know your limits of your budget. Should and should not do. Have the spare income to slow and cost whatever you want. Do. Not, don't do it. Just play, grind into your tanks like I am now, and you keep your mouth shut, play the game, and have fun. That's it. If you die, do better next time. Don't sweat it. Do better next time. That's all. what matters is that you try your best. You're trying your best. You're doing just fine. Whoops. Yep. You hit too deep a spot, they give you a countdown for the rounds. With tank destroyers, that tank destroyers do not have turrets. Well, at least some of them don't. Some do, some don't. So most tank destroyers are built like this. Most tank destroyers are built just like this. They do not have turrets. So you have to be very careful what position. They look like this. They're snipers, which means you have to stay here, keep your distance, and stay fleet. That is an artillery that I could probably get a good clear shot. That's not good. We just spotted it. So look at the bottom. See the camouflage net? See how it's green? When it's green, that means we disappeared from the map. So now we can move until light bulb goes off again. Unfortunately, we still wasn't spotted. But they decided to just take a lucky hit. They decided to just go for it and take a lucky hit and see what happens. Now, what you can do is do this. Let them know what shot they came, what direction the shot came from. So if the shot came from this direction, if the arrow said it came from this direction, then you point a square in that direction. See, look, they're going the direction I pointed at. Hopefully they'll spot the person that hit them. Hopefully. I have a funny feeling that he's still up there. So I'm going to lend a hand where I can to try to find him. I am going to try to find that person. Make sure you look and make sure there's no artillery. All the artillery is dead. There's a tank destroyer right here. Tank destroyer right here. Artillery is dead. So we have 2 tank destroyers and no artillery. So we don't have to worry about cap or we lose. Yep, we have 1 artillery and most of our guys. Wow. Most of our guys are done, so we need the cap. So he does have a point. Cap or we lose, so. Help. Yeah, we need some help.
Движение невозможно. Сбито. Починили гусеницу. Можно ехать.
Some help, guys, would be nice.
Машина уничтожена.
Shit, I can't type fast enough. Ugh. I was about to type some help would be nice, but unfortunately, they didn't help. I have a funny feeling that they're gonna win. There's no one to help. I really shouldn't say that. There's no one to help. So. That is a tank destroyer? No, that's not artillery. Why is an artillery so close? Artillery should be back at the flag. I don't understand why they're there. It just doesn't make sense. Now that is how not to play World of Tanks, guys. Check that shit out. What kind of retarded moron just kills himself for no reason? Die like a man. If you're losing, fine. Go down fighting. Never purposely drown yourself. Ever. Only cowards do that. Know this now. Only cowards do shit like that. That's ridiculous. Never in my life ever want to see that shit. Ever. That's cowardly. Too cheap to pay for repairs. That's horrible. That's very bad. Well, he's sitting on 6 kills so far. Hopefully this Patton can do some damage. Good luck to you, buddy. Let's see. I have a funny feeling that he's... yeah, not gonna happen. They're sandwiching. Not happening. They sandwiched him. Now, if you had World of Tank Plus or World of Tank Premium account, you would gain more for your battle. Plus, you'd be able to have your ×2 multiplier right here. You'd get your multiplier. You'd be able to push multiplier, but unfortunately, we don't have World of Tanks Plus today, so therefore we don't get that. If you have World of Tanks Plus, you get 3. Premium, you get 5. So, unfortunately for us, we don't get any because we don't have Plus or Premium. Now, what is Plus? What is Premium? I can show you guys that if you want to know. I can show you guys that. World of Tanks Plus. Let's see. World of Tanks Plus. This should give you a brief idea what World of Tanks Plus is. Manageable XP multipliers, which means that they give you 3 multipliers and only 3 to pick whatever tank you want. It'll multiply the XP for three tanks, 3 games. It'll give you an exclusive vehicle only while the World of Tanks Plus is active. It'll accumulate gold in a gold reserve, and when your World of Tanks Plus subscription is over, you get that gold back. It's like earning credits. But the only thing is you earn credits and gold in World of Tanks Plus. At the end of the World of Tanks Plus subscription, the gold comes into your account immediately. So World of Tanks Plus comes in handy. They have intensive crew regimen. You get an attendance reward, to which means if you play every single day that World of Tanks Plus is active, you get an extra bonus for attending every single day you paid for. You could demount equipment for free, and you get a bonus to experience and a bonus to credits automatically. World of Tanks Plus. And this costs $9 every 30 days. Now, let's see. World of Tanks Premium. World of Tanks Premium gives you bonus to credits and bonus to experience per battle. A manageable bonus to experience. It allows you to use the premium bonus to experience bonuses that you've accumulated over the years. It gives you an extra slot for excluding unwanted maps. It has reserve stock for credits and daily premium missions that give you more prizes, and a platoon bonus to credits. So the World of Tanks Plus and the Premium are different. One you might need more than the other. Never activate both at the same time. That's a waste of money. One or the other, depending on what you need. Now let's just say, for argument's sake, you wanted to grind one specific tank as much as you could. World of Tanks Premium gives you 5 applications for bonus to experience. 5. World of Tanks Plus gives you 3. So if you're grinding one tank, then get World of Tanks Premium and grind that one tank. Why? Because it will give you bonus to credits. It'll give you bonus credits and experience, plus you'll be able to use the bonuses you've accumulated over the years, the premium bonuses when you have World of Tanks Premium activated. I'll show you what the premium bonuses are. Over the years, you will accumulate bonuses. These. You'll be able to use those whenever you want to. Over the years, you're going to get these. And you're not going to be able to use them. Why? Because they're only for premium accounts. Now, these reserves right here are only for premium account users. Only if you have a premium account active can you activate these. That's the way it was in the old days. I don't know if that's the same way now, but that's the way it was in the old days. These were only used if you did not have a premium account active. You'd activate these and you'd be good to go. This was for either one. Now these are for if you're in a clan and they have reserves. If the clan tells you, if you're an officer and you're allowed to prepare reserves for the upcoming battle, you prepare the necessary reserves. Now, if, let's say you're in a clan, right? And the clan says, we need an officer to please prepare reserves. We're going to have a clan battle in 5 minutes. I'm an officer. I can prepare reserves, so 5 minutes. So when there's 1 minute left, I will activate all 4 of these. When there's 1 minute left, before we queue in for battle, activate all 4 of these. Me, because I'm an officer. I'll say I'll do it when there's 1 minute left in the counter. Let me know. They'll let me know. I activate all 4, and then I join my team in the queue, which shows up usually right there. It usually shows up right there. And usually it says, usually in special battles right here. So usually we'll end up being somewhere over here, I think. Yeah, about right here. So the global map is what the clans fight for. You fight for territory. This has been around since day 1. Oh, okay, they froze it. I don't know why they froze it. Never in my life have I ever seen it frozen. That is very odd. Wow, they're in the United States? They were in Europe a couple of years ago. Wow, I can't believe it. They're actually in the US. That's amazing. They've never been in the US on the global map, ever. Wow. Okay. That's interesting. Okay, but this is where you go. You go to your clan page. The clan you're in, not the clan I'm in, the clan you're in. This is my clan page. Now, this is the tour of duty. When you're in a clan, clans have what's called their daily missions. You know how when you come in, you have daily missions to do? You have 3 daily missions to do. Well, when you're in a clan, you have 3 daily missions to do as a clan member. All 3 of these have to be done. As you can see, 1 was done already. The problem is they need an officer, meaning me, to claim the reward so they can work on the next mission. Okay, now, this mission has been unlocked. Now the entire team has to work on this mission now. This mission states earn at least 650 base XP in one battle when playing solo in a platoon or win a battle as part of a detachment. It doesn't say with your teammates or with your clan members. You can't do it solo in normal battles. Which means I could be grinding my tanks and working on this mission as long as I boost the experience. If I use the experience boosters I have, that will help the clan get this mission done 3 times quicker. So this is one thing you can do to help your clan get their daily tour of duties done quicker. Usually people in a clan, nobody gives a crap about this. This is a big deal because these give you industrial resources. And with those resources, you are able to create all of this. In order to make all of this, you need industrial resources. Without industrial resources, you can't create any of this. You can't make buildings bigger. You can't level them up. You can't do any of this shit. You can't do anything. Dead serious. You need to make the clan bigger. You need to get this better. This leveled up. This is level 9. All of these are level 9. So instead of working on the buildings and upgrading the buildings, they upgraded this, which is outstanding. So now when we activate it, we get a 100% bonus to credits. And 100% bonus to credits in clan and tournament battles for 2 hours. Or 30% bonus to credits in random battles as well. It's Frontline and Still Hunter for 2 hours. It says only for tier 10 and 11 vehicles. Can be obtained during war games, which means you can only get these if you participate in a war game. A war game is right here, which means you have to participate. Your clan has to participate in one of these at the specific time, designated time you see right there. Now, this clan I'm in has that much in storage. We have plenty in storage, so I could activate it whenever I want to. Problem is, I wouldn't do that because my superior officer has to give the word to me. Can you activate this? We're going in. You need this resource activated, we're going in. Okay. So then I do it. That's my job. My job is to go in there and get it done. Every member of the clan has a different job. I'm not the treasurer, so that technically is not my job. I'm the combat officer. Now the combat officer is supposed to be the strategist. I'm good at that. I'm just not good at that when the team doesn't listen. When you're in a random battle situation, you want certain team members to go a certain way. And you can't sit there for four and a half minutes typing where everybody should go. No one's going to listen. They're going to do their own thing. Random battles, people do their own thing. Only person you can control is you. And that's it. So, you do what you can based off of the tank you're in. For example, if you decide you want to take a light tank, let's see if we can grab a light tank. If you decide to take a light tank, okay, you decide to run in a tier 10 battle with a light tank. Let's do that. Now, how do we approach this? Light tanks, first of all, are fast. They do not have large caliber guns, which means they can't penetrate armor by snapping your fingers. All you can do is run fast, spot, give people flat tires, and that's about it. Oh, and try not to die and spot the entire team. Spot the entire team without dying. Now, most light tanks will go here and hover around this area. That will help the artillery. What I suggest is most light tanks should go here. Try to sweep this area. Do the best you can, sweep this area as quickly as you can. And just in case. Unfortunately, the heavies are already beaten us. We have to get ahead of the heavies. We have to get well ahead of the heavies. We have to try and pass the heavy tanks. Already we're seeing people. This is not good.
Гусеница едва держится.
Yep, we got one.
Движение невозможно. Гусеница сбита. Гусеница восстановлена.
Oh, flat tire. Shit. He tracked me. God damn it. That sucks. The worst thing that can happen is you getting tracked. If somebody tracks you, your light tank is as good as dead. I tried to go back so he couldn't ram me. Unfortunately, he tracked me. The guy to my left tracked me. So that gave him a chance to ram me. And that was it. I was dead. It doesn't take that long. Your main objective as a light tank is to spot the area so that the heavy tanks don't run into a brick wall. It's better that you as a light tank run into the brick walls and die and spot them all first, rather than heavy tanks running into a brick wall and going, oh shit. At least now all the heavy tanks know that shit, maybe we shouldn't concentrate on this area, because all the heavy tanks are in this area. So every single heavy tank is now going to converge on this area. Or on this area, and they'll flank them. See? I spotted them here. I spotted them here. Now all the heavy tanks are approaching the same area to finish the job. So that is the strategy of what a light tank should do. It sucks. I mean, you don't get to kill anything. At least you know you did your job. Because your team wins because of what you did, then guess what? As a light tank, you did your job. You did your job well. You scout, as long as you scout the right area ahead of time, and your team wins, you did a good job. It doesn't, who cares if you die? If you scout half the team, and your team ends up winning, just like this, I did my job. I did my job very well. Why? Because this team won. A team is only as good as their light tanks and what their light tanks decide to do. I've been playing this game for a very long time. And quite honestly, I don't really like playing light tanks. I can play them, yes, but I don't like playing them. So, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is, guys. It is what it is. So, let's see what we at as far as time goes. Okay, we're good. We have time. So, light tanks are a lot of fun. They really are. They are a lot of fun. So, you have to remember, light tanks are good for spotting, keeping your eyes on the enemy, making sure the entire team knows that this guy is an asshole. Kill him. All you have to do is spot them once. If you spot them once, get the hell out of their way. Make sure they can't hit you. Track them. Break their gun if you have to. If you want to track them, right here. If you want to break their gun, HE round, fire an HE round, right down the barrel of their gun, you'll break their gun. If you want to make sure they can't spot you, the place where the gunner and the driver look out, hit that with it again. HE round. Light tanks never use gold rounds and never use AP rounds ever, unless you're top tier. Light tanks should only be using high explosive rounds. Why? Because they damage components. They don't do a lot of damage, but they damage components. Damage components such as guns, tracks, engines, fuel tanks, you want to cripple them. You don't want to destroy them. You're not powerful enough to destroy them. I mean, look at your gun. It's minuscule. That's a tiny little gun right there. So you have a mouse. Do you really think a gun like this can hurt a mouse? I don't think so. If that gun cannot hurt a mouse, then why bother even having high explosive rounds? My AP rounds are right there. See that? That's where they belong. Now these are gold rounds. Granted, gold rounds are very expensive, but if you don't want it, if you do want to do damage to them, you don't want to just break a component, then you're going to have to use gold rounds. Premium rounds are a necessity if you want to do damage to them. Unfortunately for me, I go by the way the bullet looks. I don't check the prices. The price is usually a big indicator of what kind of round it is. Look at the damage. 300 damage versus 300 damage. Damage is exactly the same. This has 248 penetration. This has 230 penetration. Shell velocity, 1200 meters per second. Shell velocity, 790 meters per second. Now, why would the gold round be better? The gold round has a 248 penetration rate. The standard round has a 230 penetration rate. Although the gold round does have better penetration. Okay, guys? So the gold round can penetrate better. The standard round has a better shell velocity. So therefore, I would rather sacrifice penetration for shell velocity. Why? Because technically, a light tank can, if you have a good enough setup for spotting, you don't have to run up to the front. You can spot from the rear and then snipe people from a distance. If you have a shell velocity of up to 1200, that's going to do some serious damage. The faster that bullet flies, the more damage it's going to do because it's going to fly into that tank more. Shell velocity, when it's really high, you're going to do a lot of damage because it's going to get deep in that tank. So when you aim with a light tank, your main goal is to aim for only weak spots. Okay? When you're in a light tank, regardless of what shell you're using, you're going to aim for here. Light tanks aim for treads, tracks, in between, right here. Light tanks always aim for here. And HE shots can go in here and in here. Also, if you're not sure If you think the tank is an autoloader, if you think, for example, if somebody was looking at this tank and they absolutely thought this tank had an autoloader, you would aim for here. Why? Because ammo storage would be in canisters. Now they would have loose ammo in racks. And when you pull the cartridge out of the autoloader, you load the loose ammo into the rack. So they have loose ammo scattered about the turret. Autoloaders always keep the ammo in turrets. Why? I don't know, but that's what they do. So naturally, the turret armor is going to be very high. Not necessarily. Let's check it. Just to be sure, let's check the armor of this tank. Now, this is a light tank. Light tanks are not meant to be heavily armored. Okay, guys? A light tank is meant to be lightly armored because it has to be fast. So, as far as I'm concerned, this whole tank is going to be green. The fact that we have anything in the yellow is a bloody miracle. I mean, the fact that this is yellow is a miracle. I expected the entire tank to be green. Because light tanks are fast. They are very fast. So, there's only so much you can do. Now, when you have a light tank, you have to keep in mind, always study the tank very carefully. Identify where everything is. Right off the bat, you're thinking, obviously, smoke's coming out of, let's see, this is the exhaust, right? Where is the exhaust? The exhaust is right. Let's see if we can spot the exhaust. If we can spot the exhaust, well, we know what the engine is. Okay, here's the air vents right here, which means the engine is right under the turret. See that? That's an air vent. Right there. Which means the engine is underneath this hump. You turn the turret 90 degrees, there'd be the engine right there. Which means exhaust is right there. Which means the fuel storage is probably either here, which is a problem, which is just like the Soviets because they do that. Except instead of having barrels, they condense it more. Or the fuel storage could be in the back, which is a possibility. If you want to know where the fuel storage is, look for places that don't have armor. Right off the bat, these are where your fuel is. See that? 40 millimeters, 40 millimeters. Your fuel storage is right there. So you have to be extremely careful. Alright. Here, right here. This, even though this is part of the fuel system, this is part of the fuel tank, the front is not considered armor. You cannot hit this. If you hit this, It doesn't do anything. Although the side, if you do hit the side is a different story. So I mean, it's tricky. It's tricky. It's very, very tricky. You have to really study these tanks. This is a new feature since they upgraded the game big time. This enables you to look at the tank very carefully and take your time, by the way, and study. Make sure you keep track of all the places that are weak. There's a periscope right there. No armor. There's an observation device. 90 millimeters. That's nothing. The gun. The gun has 40 millimeters. This gun is basic steel. There's no armor. This has 90 millimeters. Not a lot. But this is glass. This is plain ordinary steel right here. Actually, this is ordinary steel. This is minimal armor right here. This is ordinary steel. This has much thicker armor. Armor is always thicker in this area right here. The armor is the thickest in the tank, or it's supposed to be, in heavy tanks usually, in what's called the cowling. The cowling area of the tank, which is usually right here. In the cowling area of a tank, this will be like purple. It'll be like 200, something like that. It'll be like purple. It'll be insane. Usually in every tank, this is red, this is purple, this is yellow, this is yellow, this is green. Fuel tanks are always green. As far as Soviets goes, that's always green. Any area that stores ammunition is also going to be green. And also, right there, sheet metal, basic sheet metal. So, keep your sides away from the enemy. This is why. See this? An HE shell can go through this. It's basic sheet metal. Look at this. 8 millimeters. 8. A single digit. I mean, your car has more steel than that. I'm dead serious. Your automobile right now has thicker steel than that hull. And that piece of that hull. A Ford F-150 right now. If you have a Ford F-150 pickup truck, I guarantee you that's probably like 9 or 10 millimeters, roughly, a Ford F-150. So that 8 millimeters is equal to like a Kia Sorento, something like that. It's tinny. Touch it and it goes pink, pink. That's horrible. I mean, you could basically pee through this. It's horrible. It's like a screen door. This is nothing. So, you're most vulnerable from the rear. Definitely most vulnerable from the rear. there's no armor in the rear. And no armor in the sides. And there is better armor when you're looking down. When you're shooting somebody, when somebody's shooting you from above, you have better armor than if somebody's shooting you from head on. If somebody's shooting you from head on, or even if you angle the armor, it's not going to do much of a difference. Although what angling the armor does do, now look at the degrees. See the second number? It says 73 degrees. Now watch. Now it says 40 millimeter hull, 58 degrees, 67 millimeters of armor based on the angle I'm in right now. Now let's increase the angle. Now 40 millimeters of armor, 74 degrees. That equals out to 113 millimeters of armor. You have more of a chance of survival if you angle the armor 73 degrees from the front. Now, this 40 millimeters of armor is now angled at 50 degrees, which gives you which gives you up to 60 millimeters of armor. So again, angle your armor. Never go head on. Angle it. At least it gives you somewhat of a hair of a chance of survival. That tiny little angle is really, honestly, all you really need. That's all you need. All you need is a small angle. Never go head on. Whenever you shoot, whenever you face somebody like this, you're facing them at a lower. Whenever you're shooting somebody like this, you're shooting the armor head on. Now let's say somebody, this is angled, right? This armor is angled. So naturally it's gonna be, see how this armor is angled? This armor is gonna be thicker. Now, you're shooting this head on, right? Now, it's 40 millimeters of armor, but it's at a 59 degree angle, which means that this armor is technically 68 millimeters thick, even though it's only 40. Why? Because the armor is at 59 degree angle, which technically makes the armor thicker. When you are at when you're firing at somebody head on, you're shooting at them, their lower glacis, you're going to want to use an armor piercing round and not an HE round. Even though that's 40 millimeters, even though that is 40 millimeters of armor, an HE round easily penetrate 40 millimeters of armor. You have a 59 degree angle. So an HE round will do Jack and his friend against that angle. Why? Because that 40 millimeter armor is now 68 millimeters of armor. Now that HE shell will do jack shit. You have no choice. You have to use an AP shell against that lower glacis. Have no choice. It's going to hit, yes, but it's not going to do a lot. It's not going to do a hell of a lot of damage. You might get lucky and get a lucky hit. Depending on what's on the other side of this right here, you might get a lucky hit. Again, there is stuff. These tanks are not empty. There is stuff in this tank. You have ammunition, fuel, engine components. You have gun components. You have crew member seats, electronics. You have stuff in there. And you have to basically guess where everything is. Obviously, you know the gunner is going to be here, right? And based off the sheer size and mass of this turret, you know the ammunition storage is right here. Which means that this has 12 millimeters of armor and 40 on the top. This is not good. All somebody has to do is give you a flat tire, aim for the turret, game over. Dead in one shot. Why? 6 degrees. It's only angled at 6 degrees. If they shoot from here, now if they shoot from here, it's only angled at 28 degrees, which means this is 43 millimeters of armor. That's nothing. HE shell can easily pen that. Now let's say you're going to fire this. That's 40 millimeters of armor. 9-degree angle, that's 48 millimeters of armor, which means one HE shell, pop goes the weasel, you're done. If they aim at this with an AP round, pop, you're done. I don't care what you are, I don't care how much you angle it, pop, you're done. If you angle it, 47 millimeters of armor. If you angle it even more, 64 millimeters of armor. See what I'm getting? So the more you angle an armor, the more of an angle you're at. Look at that. That lower glacis is only 40 millimeters of armor. You have a 128 millimeter armor, a 128 millimeter lower glacis, 128 millimeters of armor right here at this angle. So even though armor's weak, there is a way of getting more out of your armor even though it's thinner. All you have to do is make sure your armor is angled just the right way to make sure the weak spots are not covered, but they're angled. Make sure that everything that's seen has an extreme angle to it. We're talking extreme angle so that you don't get pop goes the weasel. You get one-shotted, you're done for. Plain English. Done. And that's a problem. That really and truly is a problem. So, technically, if you really want to get technical, this game is all about checks and balances. In the beginning, when I first started, this game was just play, have fun. Now this game has gotten so complicated over the years. Jeez, even I have trouble keeping up sometimes. This game has gotten so complicated. Now it's all about certain angles, certain spots. It used to be just point, shoot. Certain areas, you had to be careful. In the beginning, when I first started, there were certain areas you had to make sure you had to keep covered. This had to be covered at all times or angled. This had to be covered at all times and or angled. This had to be straight on. Never angle this ever. You can. Now you can. Because if you do it now, you get more milliliters. Back then, they used to tell us straight on. Because the cowling, see the cowling? 330 millimeters of armor. The cowling has the thickest armor in the tank. This tiny little spot around the gun has the absolute thickest armor in the tank. It's so thick, nothing can penetrate this. This is the thickest armor in the tank. It's also the smallest. The cowling, it looks like a bag. So when the tank moves, it looks like a bag. Really, in reality, they have a super duper thick piece of steel behind it. So this way it keeps the gunner protected. Because the gunner is right behind that cowling. So they have to have the thickest armor in the tank behind that cowling so the driver does not die. If the driver dies, the entire tank is screwed. If the gunner dies, the entire tank is screwed. I mean, granted, the loader can probably take over in an emergency, but then loader has to load his own shells and struggle to fire because he won't know what he's doing. So, I mean, or the commander would have to climb up to the gunner position, and by the time he does that, tank's dead. So, the gunner is in the turret. The gunner is always in the turret. The loader sometimes is in the hull retrieving the ammunition. Sometimes, if the turret's big enough, like this one is, the loader will be in the turret. So, depending on how big the turret is, that's where your loader is going to be. So if the gunner ever gets taken out, the loader will have the ability to just simply jump on the gun, grab spare ammo, put it by the gun, aim, fire, and load another shot in, until the commander can come back up and get the gunner back in line. So the entire tank pitches in when one man goes down. If the driver goes down, immediately either the radio man jumps in or the commander jumps in. The radio man sometimes will jump in for the driver, or the commander will jump in for the driver. Because again, the driver, the gunner are the two most important positions. Because the driver keeps the tank moving, the gunner, the driver keeps the tank moving, and the gunner keeps the tank shooting. The loader keeps bullets in the tank. Now, if the loader dies, the gunner can also run back, grab a shell, load it, and fire. So, in an emergency, the gunner can load his own gun. But the gunner might have trouble, might have a lot of difficulties taking over the gunner's position, because you have to really know how to use a gun. And if you don't know how to use a gun, you're not going to be as effective. A gunner might be okay at reloading his own gun. He's not nearly as fast as the loader. He'll be okay. See, that's why you have your commander have mentor, because mentor will enable that commander to be 65% proficient in every position in that tank. So if a crew member gets injured, you don't have to fumble for the first aid kit. Just leave him injured. The commander will immediately take over that position. And you won't see any difference. You'll see very little difference in the performance of the tank. Very little. Now, if you have a driver that's injured as well as a gunner, then you have to use the large first aid kit and heal them both. Because if the driver and the gunner are both injured, you're in trouble. Because one drives the tank, one shoots. Those are the two most important positions that nobody else can do. So, you're going to have to use the large first aid kit eventually. So you have your large first aid kit. It heals everyone in the tank. Everyone in the tank gets healed at the same time. So, large first aid kit, heal everybody in the tank. You're good to go. Next week I'm gonna go over consumables and equipment. Consumables and equipment can make or break a game. In every tank, you're going to see I have different stuff in my tank. Different, completely different. Sometimes it's going to be large, sometimes it'll be small. And I have a reason for this. I have a very good reason for this. Now let's go through my tanks. Let me show you something. Now let's see. We have where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Okay, here you are. We have this tank. This is a T-34 from the World War. This tank is supposed to be a reenactment tank. This tank was taken exactly as the tank was supposed to be taken. The armor is exactly the way it's supposed to be. 45 millimeters, 45 millimeters, same as the real tank. The real tank had these exact stats. Now, at a 70-degree angle, you have 100 millimeters of armor. This is a pretty substantial tank. Now, The T-34 in game? I don't really know about that too much. I really wouldn't trust it. The T-34 in game. Can we preview it? Yes, we can. Actually, they kept it exactly the same. Armor is exactly the same. Okay, good for them. They kept it exactly the way it's supposed to be. Good job. There you go. Yep, exactly the same. Now, the T-34-85. The difference between the T-34 and the T-34-85. People ask that a lot. What is the difference between the T-34 and the T-34-85? Well, I'll tell you one thing. For what I think the T-34-85, the hull was completely changed on the T-34-85. The hull had more of a profound angle. The angle was steeper on the T-34-85. So having that, you're able to have a more of an angled armor to this side. Okay? Now, this, sorry, always happens. Now, this T-34-85 had slightly thicker armor in the front. 45 millimeter armor in the front, 55 in the front, and the 85. Now, the 85 is supposed to be superior, a much superior model. Now, the lower mantlet right here is the same thickness armor as the T-34-85, as the T-34. Same thickness. This did not change. The one thing that did change is this, the turret. The turret is a lot bigger, taller, it's thicker, and the armor is much better. So the T-34-85 is a better, overall is a better tank than the original T-34. Hands down, a better tank. Now, the T-34-85 Extended has an even better, is even better. Because T-34-85 Extended is probably going to store the armor instead of in the hull, it's going to store it in the turret, which is a problem, but that also prevents people from one-shotting you right here and you going up like, and you popping like a Christmas tree and having the turret fly off. Instead, the armor, if the turret is extended, then that means the armor is placed in the turret the ammo is placed in the turret, which means if they do hit here, they'll damage the tank, but they won't make it go pop, like most people do. 90% of the tanks in World War II, all the ammunition was stored in the hull. Very few tanks had ammunition stored in the turret. Very few tanks, unless they had an extended turret like this one does. If they have an extended turret, then they will store the ammunition in the turret instead of in the hull. So therefore, if you do take a pot shot at somebody's hull in between the wheels, the tank won't go boom in one shot. Yes, it'll take a tremendous amount of damage, but it won't blow up. Why? Because the ammunition is in a 75mm turret, armored turret. The armor on the turret is 75mm, not on a zero angle. If you angle that armor, the armor is further increased. So naturally, if you think someone's on your right, move that turret just a little bit. Enable that so that they don't hit that tank, so that they don't hit that turret on an angle. Therefore, you might increase the chance of ricocheting, and or you might increase the chance of it not going through. Period. Whenever you angle an armor, you increase the chance of a shot ricocheting by at least 30%. Depending on the degrees of armor. For example, if you have armor on this tank, take this for example. If you have a 64-degree angle, this has an extremely high chance from this angle we're sitting at right here, extremely high chance of any shot ricocheting, regardless whether it's a gold round, HE, or what. 60% of these shots that are shot at that mantlet, at that underbelly, will bounce. Why? Because the armor is angled so much. In order to reduce that, this tank has to be high. If this tank is high, that angle goes away. If this tank is low, angle further increases. See? The higher up you are, the lower the angle. See? That's why when tanks always go up high and shoot down, that's why they die quicker. Because if you're up really high on a mountain, you're looking down, you're shooting, somebody shoots you back and kills you in one shot, you wonder how that's possible. This is how. Because that armor, instead of having an 81-degree angle, you quite possibly have a 40-degree angle or a 50-degree angle. I mean, angle of the armor really does make a huge difference. It really does. It makes a huge difference. Because the higher the angle, the thicker the armor will be. Because if, say, you hit the armor head on, this is the armor. Okay? Shot is going to go Here's the armor. Okay, guys? You're hitting it head on. It's going to go right through. So you angle it. Say you angle that armor just a little bit. Now that shot has to go through the top. And it's got to travel a little bit longer through it and then out. It's got to go through 2 pieces of armor in order to get through the tank instead of 1. If you further angle it, it's got to go through 1, 2, 3 pieces of armor in order to get through that 1 piece. In order to get through that 1 piece of armor, it's got to get through 3 pieces in order to get through. So the more the angle, the thicker the armor becomes. Why? Because that shot has to go through more of that armor in order to get in the tank. Because in order to go through, in order for a shot to go through a tank clean, the armor has to be like this. The only armor on a tank that has a hull like this is the KV-2. You know that big bobblehead turret? That's the only tank in this game that has that and the TOG. Those are the only tanks that I know of that have turrets like that. Okay, guys? Every other tank in the game, hulls and turrets both have angles. This armor is thicker, yes, but it's also angled. Although this is a 75-degree angle right here, okay? This is a 75 millimeter turret. That's substantial armor. We're at a 26-degree angle, which is more than the T-34 had. T-34 had 15, 12, not even. This has 26. So 75 plus 26, that's 8. 75, add that together with the angle, plus 5 for the angle, and that's 80 millimeters of armor. 80. You now have 80 millimeters of armor on a medium tank. That's unheard of. So this tank, if you go hull down and only have the turret popping up, the only way they're gonna be able to hit you is through that and that and maybe that. Maybe that. That's it. That's pretty much it, guys. Because this is angled. This 72 millimeters is angled. This is 187 millimeters is angled. That's angled at 12 degrees, so that's 45 millimeters. This is angled at 39 degrees, so that's 84 millimeters. This only has a 3-degree angle. So this is 127 millimeters because this only has a 3-degree angle. Plus this is glass. So this is really not considered armor. It's blue. So whatever you hit that's blue, regardless of the angle, it's going right into the tank. It's going right through. Anything that's blue is going to break as soon as you hit it once. Anything that's blue and green are the most vulnerable. Blue and green are your most vulnerable, most vulnerable colors. That's basically the most important thing. blue, and green. Green means you're gone immediately. That's it. No matter what, pop, you're done. Yellow, as long as yellow is angled, you'll be fine. If green is angled, I'd start to worry. If you have yellow armor, people are gonna have to waste money on gold rounds to kill you. So, which people do that. Now, if you have orange armor, like this, or purple, they have to use gold rounds and pray to God up above that even do 1 point of damage. You're using HE armor on like this. I mean, this is like nothing's getting through this. HE armor goes through this. You're not hitting this with AP armor and doing any damage. This is the thickest part of the tank right here. And this little tiny strip right here. This, and this are the 3 strongest spots in this tank. The only thing that's going to do damage to this is an HE shot. That's it. So, whatever tank you own, no matter what it is, no matter what country, check the armor and study every inch of the tank. I guarantee you, every time you upgrade to a new tank, it's going to be different. Why? Because they're trying to learn from the mistakes. The original T-34 had a big, huge flaw. Let's go back. Let me show you guys what its flaw was. The original T-34 had a huge flaw. See what the flaw is? This was the flaw. The turret was so small that the ammunition had to be stored in the tank. So therefore, all they had to do is take pot shots through 65 millimeters of armor, and the whole tank would explode. So, sheet metal, they hid their ammunition behind sheet metal. That's horrible. Horrible. That's why they had that heavily armored in the T-34-85. That's why they had that heavy duty 75 millimeter armor sitting on this chassis, because the ammunition was going in the back of the turret and the turret was extended up to here. So therefore they had the loader and the ammunition in the turret with the gunner. Here they have the loader down here getting a shell and climbing up into the turret and loading the gun, then going back down. They'll get another shell. It's a waste of time and a waste of space. But that's what happens. When you build a tank, you don't think of these things until it's too late. And this is what happened. But still, they made hundreds and thousands of these tanks. These tanks, Soviet Union made more of these tanks. Just read the historical reference. It'll give you a brief idea on how many tanks was made. They made 33,895 tanks of these made in total. They made 3 variants in total from 1940 to 1944. T-34, T-34-85, and the T-43. I think they might have made a T-34M. Maybe. Not sure. I think this was not a T-34. This was a completely different tank. This was supposed to replace the T-34. This was supposed to replace the T-34. What happened is that any work on this project was discontinued in favor of improving the T-34. So what they did was they took the T-34, brought it back to production, and created the T-34M, which they do not have here. They do not have the third iteration of the T-34. The T-34 was upgraded 3 times. T-34, T-34-85, and the T-34M. They do not have that here. But they had a T-34M. That was a final T-34. T-34M is supposed to be right here. T-44 was never made. This tank was discontinued. So then you have this tank, which is the T-54. This was a prototype that was constructed at the end of 1944. They ran the tank through trials 1945 to 1947. T-54 mod 1 was adopted. 1942 was adopted for service. 713 vehicles were constructed before production phased out. 1949, production of a new variant of this tank was launched. This tank was approved for service. So the T-43 remained in production and all they did was upgrade the tank and add upgrades to that one tank. So in reality, this tank, they did not get new version of this tank until this tank came along. This tank was the first tank that replaced the existing T-34. Everything before that was either a variant of the T-34 or was a prototype that was never produced. The T-34 was the most prolific and the most produced tank in the war, period. If you include all of its other variants all in one, it was the most produced tank in history. Because they had the T-34, T-34-85, and the T-34M. They had 3 iterations of that tank that lasted up to 1945. Even up to 1947. Because in 1948, I think it was 48, not sure. But I think in 48, the T-54, they discontinued the T-34 finally and all of its variants and adopted the T-54 for final production. And for the Cold War, early on in the Cold War, they had the T-60. Before the Cold War, the T-54 was converted to the T-60. And then during the Cold War, the T-60 was upgraded to the T-80. Okay, guys? See where this is going? Now, the T-80, after the Cold War, the T-80 was updated after the Cold War, and they added a makeshift autoloader. They tried their luck again after failing with adding an autoloader to the KV. Namely, the KV-1SA had a built-in autoloader. After that failing miserably, they decided to try their luck at adding an autoloader to the T-80. And the second generation T-80 had an autoloader built into it. Although that tank was more heavily armored, and they were much smarter as far as the armor's angles and stuff like that goes, they still put the ammunition in the turret, which is a problem, because if you're able to penetrate the turret in any place, the whole turret will fly right off. But it won't be as bad because the armor in the turret of the T-80, even the upgrade, is very, very thick. Very thick. Then you have the new tank that Russia uses now, called the T-90. And of course the T-90M they have also as well. Now the T-90 has that weird flying saucer shaped turret. Again, like I said before, armor is angled. Okay, guys? Angled armor. That's why they have a flying saucer shaped turret. That's why the turret looks like that. The armor is angled. Okay? But here's where the design gets really stupid. There's a very good reason why all the T-90s on the battlefield, their turrets have been blown off. Because Ukraine realized that the turret ring, because of the way the turret is situated, the way normal turrets are on tanks, the turret armor goes down, and the turret armor covers the turret ring. Okay, guys? Now, the T-80, the turret is like kind of like a bowl, upside down bowl, and it goes down. Now that bowl extends down below the turret ring. So even though that T-80 had an autoloader, its turret did not fly off. Why? Because they couldn't aim at the turret ring because the turret arm was blocking the turret ring. The T-90 made a mistake of making a different shaped turret, and by doing so, all they have to do is aim for the turret ring, and the whole turret flew right off the tank. It's called an engineering disaster. That's what happened. The T-80s from the Cold War were much better designed. They should have stuck with that tank and just tried to make it better. Try to make the armor thicker. Try to make it faster. Make it work. They had to make a new design. They had to break the damn tank. And now they don't have they didn't have near enough T-80s to help with the Ukraine battle. They had maybe a small handful. Why? Because they didn't make enough of them. They decided to we're gonna make a brand new tank right now. Why? Because we're Russia. We're going to do that. Retarded morons. That's the difference between something that's properly engineered and something that's poorly engineered. Now, in the beginning, like we went over before, the T-34 was not a very good tank. But it wasn't supposed to be. It was a medium tank. It was supposed to be fast. Just like the T-90. The T-90 is supposed to be fast. Just like the A1M1 Abrams. That tank is a medium tank. Again, that tank is supposed to be fast. Main battle tanks are usually medium tanks. What they call a main battle tank, that is a medium tank. Okay, guys? Now, you have to understand, a main battle tank, a medium tank is supposed to be fast, and armor has to be not thick, so thick that the tank won't be able to move. That's what heavy tank's job. That's what a heavy tank's job is. Every tank has armor so thick that it can barely move. You very rarely see. Very rarely will you ever see this many tanks in one country anymore. Light tanks, tank destroyers, heavy tanks, all of them became a thing of the past. Now they have what's called the main battle tank, MBT. The main battle tank is a medium tank. The tank has to be fast. It has to have decent armor. Enough armor that it's not going to pop in one shot. But it has to be very, very fast so that people can't carefully aim at obvious spots and just go. It has to be fast enough that people are not able to steadily aim at weak spots. A heavy tank, who cares if they aim? They're not gonna kill anything. The armor is so thick they can't penetrate it. That was the reason why the Germans tried to make the Maus and the E-100. That was the purpose of making the E-100. Because the purpose of the E-100, the purpose of the Maus and the E-100 was supposed to be, my armor is not better than you, my armor is harder to penetrate. I mean, look at the armor on the Maus. Do you see any... Look at this armor. Do you see, from the front, do you see any yellow or any green at all? Any. Yellow or green. We're looking for yellow and green. That's the most important right now. Don't see... There's no yellow and there's no green. Nothing. It's all red, purple, and blue. This thing is an armored beast from the front. From the front, this thing is impenetrable. Only thing you can hit, tracks. And the screens here, 255 millimeters of armor, 581 at this angle. Now, the spaced armor here, 484 millimeters. That's insane. Now, lower mantlet. Remember how I said always aim at the lower mantlet? 248 millimeters of armor. Gold round. Hit that son of a bitch with a gold round and pray to God you even hit something. Pray to holy hell. It's insane. Now this has 260. Not that bad. But the angle, here 275, here 360. So it all depends on where you're aiming at. See? The higher the higher the angle, the thicker the armor. This is 200 millimeters right here. This, look at the degrees. 49 degrees versus 54 degrees. 309 millimeters versus 278. You have a big difference here. You have a really big difference between this and this. Huge difference. That is one reason why you angle the armor. You never have armor that looks like this. Now the weak spot of the Maus is going to be this. This is the weakest place in the tank. Why? Because you could blow the track, shoot in between the wheels. In between the wheels is only 50 mil. Yeah. Well, there is no in between the wheels because they have layered road wheels. You could shoot at the road wheels. You probably could break the road wheels. You could aim for right here. This is 295. This is not that bad. This is 185. This is better than the front. Why? Because the degrees is only 20. This is almost a straight plate. Almost a straight plate. It's like that. So I mean, it's going to be a lot easier to go through that than this. It's going to be a hell of a lot easier. That's a 46-degree angle. With 210 millimeters of armor, you're looking at 280 millimeters of armor turret on the side. Now, where the engine is, you have 219 millimeters of armor where the engine is. And the very back, 179. And 315 right here, 215 here. So the only weak spot in this tank is underneath the turret. Is that right there? That's the only weak spot in this tank. That's it. See that? That little tiny spot right there? Good luck. Good luck trying to get the Maus to turn its turret. If the Maus ever rotates its turret, pray that it's up high and you're down. Because then you can just pop a single shot and blow the whole tank up with an AP round. Okay. Picture this. A Maus rotates its turret 90 degrees. It's up high on a hill. It rotates the turret 90 degrees. You have you're hiding in a bush, looking up, and you see a turret rotate. You take an AP, a single. You're a medium tank. You take a single AP round right up there. You'll be able to kill that mouse in one shot. Because the underbelly of that turret is only 90 millimeters of armor. That's it. 90. So it pays to be a low powered small tank that hides and never goes out. Can you imagine? Picture this. A light tank with an autoloader, hiding in a bush, cowering in fear. And it kills a mouse with an AP round. Everybody in the game will be like, what the fuck just happened? It could happen. Why? Because look at the armor. There's only 90 millimeters of armor here. Now, if you're hiding in a bush at the bottom of a cliff, and a mouse at the top of the cliff, and it rotates a turret, and it shows the underbelly of its turret, you take a single shot up, 90 millimeters of armor, no angle, pop, he's dead. All the armor in that turret will cook off, the whole thing will explode, and the whole tank will blow up. One single shot can take out that mouse just like that. A single shot can take out a mouse. All you have to do is shoot it right there. You have to be in the right place at the right time and hope to God he does the wrong thing. And stay hidden. So, if you don't own a tank, who cares? Do research about every single tank in the game, because you never know who you're going to bump into. You're going to bump into Maus, you're going to bump into E100s, you're going to bump into a lot of shit. It's up to you to figure out what the weak spots are. For example, we're seeing a lot more of this now. We're seeing a lot of this. This is very common in this game right now. This is going to get very common. It's going to get worse too because it has that. So, now looking at the Tier 11, the brand new tank. Now, the Tier 11 tank has impressive angles. It's angled in all the right spots. This has 62-degree angle. This has 68 right here. That's very impressive. This has only a 29-degree angle, but it has 320 millimeters of armor. That's insanity. This has 590 millimeters of armor. At a 54-degree angle, that's 707 millimeters of armor. A gold round can't even penetrate that mantle. A single gold round can never... That is unpenetrable armor. When armor is over 700 millimeters, that's completely unpenetrable. You can never hit that. This can never be hit. As long as it's 700 millimeters, that's completely indestructible. In World War II standard, that's indestructible. This is very much destructible. You could very easily blow this thing up. Artillery just aims for the engine, in the turret. See? Artillery, aim for... If you have a KR-1, aim for here. Or aim for here. Okay? If you're looking at them head on, aim for right here. Make sure you have a gold round aiming for here. Even though this is a weak spot, still gold round, because that's 290 millimeters because of a 66-degree angle. It's up to 290 millimeters of armor. But that's a hell of a lot better than 700. So I'll take 200 millimeters over 700 any day. If I'm forced to shoot at this, I give up. I'm never playing the game ever again. I'm not getting through that. Now, this is 280 degrees. Now, let's see. If we try our best to get it at the thickest and determine why it is that thick. Now, the millimeters of armor varies. Thickest armor is in the middle. Okay, guys? Now, the thickest armor is only 290 millimeters of armor. The thickest armor should be right there. 14 degrees. 14 degrees. That's 300 standard armor thickness. 310. 310 millimeters of armor on the turret. Right there. It's at a 14-degree angle. That's 314 millimeters of armor. 310 plus 4 equal 314. You take the armor in millimeters and add the angle to it. That tells you how much the armor. That tells you how thick the armor is. So if you have 10 millimeters of armor, an 80 degree angle, that's 90 millimeters of armor. For a sheet metal you have in a car, that's substantial armor. I mean, it's shit, but it's substantial. At least it's something. But the angle is insane. The more angle you have, the higher the... If it's 50% or higher, the chance of that shot ricocheting is a 50% chance. If the degrees gets over 50, there's a 50% chance of that shot ricocheting right off. It won't even penetrate. It won't even dent. It'll just go plink. It won't even try to penetrate. It'll just go plink. Whether it's HE, actually HE will probably explode as soon as it touches it. It won't get a chance to even penetrate. It might do like 1 point of damage, HE. That's it. HE will do like 1 point of damage. That's basically it. The weakest spot in this tank, I would have to say, would be the rear. Your rear armor would be 100. The weakest, absolute weakest spot of armor in a tank would be for artillery. Artillery had 30 millimeters on the engine compartment. On the top of the turret You have another 30 millimeters of armor. Now, if the artillery can't attack that, you could always try for that. That's small. That's a larger target to hit. That's easier to hit. So if I'm playing artillery, I would rather aim at this, because if they're going backwards, I'll aim for this and I'll hit this. So if they're moving full speed forward, if they're moving full speed forward, I'm going to aim for this. By the time it aims, my shot will be right there. As soon as it gets over here, hit it. I start aiming when it's up here, or like maybe when the tank's here, he's driving. I stop right here. Don't move. Don't move the mouse at all. Tank's moving full speed. As soon as that engine compartment goes over the nozzle, hit it. Shot will hit. It'll do extreme damage. The tank will explode. When you're playing artillery, it's all about anticipating the next move. When you have really big tanks, it's very easy to anticipate their move. It's extremely easy to anticipate movement. Movement is extremely easy. So, okay guys, that was it for today. This was really long, but what are you gonna do? Can't do anything about it. Sorry guys. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below, please. I could really appreciate it if you guys comment down below. I hope this is better. I mean, it's a live stream, yes. It's not a video per se. It's a live stream, but I hope this was a lot better than you expected. I really hope. Thank you very much. Have a very nice day. See you later, guys.